All right, what's going on? Welcome back to Transform with Sinet All Gas No Breaks podcast. And today we're going to explore some ideas and strategies to help you live your best life. I'm your host. We got Pete Sinet in the building. We got Mr. Franklin Little up in here today,
What's
of
going
course.
on?
All right, so we're going to tackle a topic that's close to both of our hearts: resetting your mindset and cultivating positivity and resilience. Whether you're navigating tough times, feeling stuck, or just looking to upgrade your mental game, this is the episode for you. We'll dive into practical tools to break free from negativity, embrace challenges, and thrive no matter what life throws at you. Uh, this is not going to be one of them pop death by PowerPoint things. So we gonna speak on what we've been through in life, and this is not just because we retired military. This is for everybody. Everybody can do a mental reset on their mind because life throws a lot of things at you. So first and foremost, we got Mr. Little back in the building. What's going on, sir?
What's up, brother?
All right, so just off of your experience in life, like I told everybody last podcast, we got about 40 years, over 50 years experience, of course, of leadership. We might look young, but we got a lot of wisdom.
Right.
So why does this topic matter to you? I'm gonna ask you first.
This topic matter because everything starts with your mindset, man. Everything starts with your mindset and how you look at things, how you view things. Your experiences shape and mold your thoughts and your and how you see things through your point of view, your perspective. But the truth is, I know it might seem a cliche, but if you change your thought process, you'll change your life. That's really the truth. And if you look at situations from not the why standpoint of why it happened to me or why is this happening, and you change it to how can this make me stronger, or what can I learn from this, or what can I benefit from this, you'll come out better because your focus has shifted from not a negative to a positive, but over willing to overcome instead of just dwelling on why a situation happened. And I had to learn that, man. That wasn't always easy. I had to learn that.
Oh, well, I'm gonna tell you, and I definitely never told you this before, but I'm gonna tell you, we served two duty stations together. No, it was Fort Hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to school together as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? ALC, I think it
ALC.
was. Yeah.
ALC. Yeah. Yeah.
So this topic is just you're just not. I'm gonna tell you this. You're not just saying this because, bro. I'm gonna tell you. I've been knowing you for a while, and you've always had a positive mindset, even when shit wasn't looking right. I'm gonna just say that off the bat. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because there was been some days, at NTC or deployment or
Ooh.
that I'm just like, man, what's this dude? What's this dude Little talking about, man? It was always something. A mission come out or something we had to do. It was always, hey man, hey brother, let's just get it done. Let's knock it out. So you always had a good mindset when that came from. So that's why I was like, I got to get you on here because some days I'm like, man, forget this. But lo and behold, Sergeant Little come up with a positive mindset. I'm like, man, hell nah. You know what I'm saying? So you're not whatever you say on here. I advise everybody to take note because he ain't BSing. You know what I'm saying? And I know. So my question is this: how did you keep that mentality? Because I know sometimes we've been in some, especially in Afghanistan, it wasn't always peaches and cream when it came to certain incidents or situations. Things
Right.
happen in Afghanistan. Just something on a smaller time frame is people have attitudes, or we
Right.
got to do a last minute mission or a last minute detail. How did you stay focused and keep the positive mindset?
So even though it's kind of like it's like nature versus nurture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we start with nurture, how we're raised. So my father is a big part of why I am the way I am because I through growing up, my father, he didn't sugarcoat nothing. He told it as it is. My father don't speak a lot of words. He's a man of very few words, but when he spoke, it meant something. But one thing
Mm-hmm.
I noticed is my dad always stayed calm in the craziest situations. That's one thing I noticed about my father growing up, still to this day. Like you'd be hard pressed to get my dad riled up about something, and
Mm-hmm.
he just taught me that growing up, especially as a young teenager, and you finding your way. And it really starts with the mindset. And like I say, this didn't happen overnight. You know,
Yeah.
I'm still trying to master this in some aspects. But if you stop worrying about stuff you can't control, your
Yeah.
life will get a whole lot easier. That's the
Oh
first
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
The
I,
second
I
thing
agree.
is if the second thing is in life general, if you stop worrying about what people think, your life
Mm,
will get easier. So if you
mm,
good, bad, or indifferent, people gonna think what they want to think. They're gonna have their perception of you or what they think of you. That has nothing to do with you.
mm.
And then the last thing is just staying positive is hard. You got to surround
Yeah.
yourself with the right people. You got, I mean, we all have our bad days, but if you come
Hmm.
in every day negative, then all right, man, get away from me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you just have to. I always been a happy dude. I like to
Hmm.
joke. I like to laugh. And you can see I like to joke, like to laugh, like to have fun. And I don't take myself too serious, but I know when to be serious. But even in
Mm,
serious moments, you have to look at it as like, okay, there's some positivity out of this, right? Everything don't
hmm.
have to be hard pressed, and it's got to be some. And sometimes, it takes a lot, a person like me to do that because I want to be like. Sometimes I want to be like, man, I don't want to be the positive dude. Like this is some BS. Like it really,
Yeah.
I see it for
Yeah.
what it really is. But you know how it is in the military. Your soldiers can't let you see you sweat. You gotta show them, even if it's not what you want to do. You got to show them like, hey, we got to do this regardless. Let's just think of a different mindset to help us because it relates to getting through it, not actually what's happening, but you have
Hmm.
to you have to get through the mission, the last second missions or this or that. You have to get through it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about them telling you, okay, this popped up or this negative thing popped up. You have to actually get through the situation too. So
Yeah.
that's why I always try to stay positive and look at things from a different perspective. It ain't always easy. I'm not gonna lie, it ain't always easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, man, I don't want to be, I guess, the bigger person at times, but in the
Yeah.
end, it works out, man.
Yeah, and you spoke on something. When you wake up in the morning, and I noticed that when I made my transition, because for the longest time I was negative, but then when I just started realizing, stop worrying about what people think, make it happen for not on the selfish realm, but make it happen for myself. Get up, be positive. Hey, because life ain't gonna always be the greatest. But if why add to the negativity if it's already beating you up? Why add to it? Like, hey, you know what? Hey, it sucks this morning, on the smaller scale. Hey, it's cold this morning. I know I gotta run, or it's cold. We know we gotta go to the job, motor pool. For the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are not military, a motor pool is where we keep all our equipment at, rolling stock at. We didn't want to do that half the time, but it makes it better when you're positive versus it's coldish, it's shit out here, man. Golly, man. But if you got somebody who come up that's positive, like, hey, man, hey, we know it suck out here. Let's get it let's make it happen, get it done. Let's go get into some warm air inside the office. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I read so we're gonna move on to a fixed mindset, and I'm gonna just give a brief definition on that. A fixed mindset is the belief that abilities, intelligence, and talents are static and unchangeable. People with the mindset often think you're either born with this or you're not. So we hear that a lot in the military, right? Either your leader is born, or a leader, can't be. So what do you think about that phrase? You're either born with it or you're not.
So that's a catch 22.
Hmm.
That's forever gonna be debatable. So uh, you have
Well, let
you
me expound on this to help you out some more
okay.
too, to give you some context. So, some of the characteristics of the fixed mindset is avoiding challenges to prevent failure or feels threatened by the success of others. Giving up easily when faced with obstacles. We see that a lot just in general in life, not just the military. So, can you expound on something like that?
Yeah. So first of all, for you to be a leader, a champion, anything, you're gonna face failure.
Oh
See,
yeah.
and that's how your mindset look at it. So
Hmm.
you can look at failures as a failure, or you can look at it as lessons learned, or how you can go and approach the same goal, but this time you're a little bit wiser. And
Hmm.
you might fail 3 or 4 times, but every time you go back, you're a little bit wiser. Now,
Hmm.
being being intimidated by the success of some others, I wouldn't know nothing about that. I don't.
Yeah.
I my motto was I don't have to. stab nobody in the back, do this. I'll just outwork you, right? But
Yeah.
we know teamwork make the dream work. Now that we retire, and when this one
Mhm.
thing, I seen on the back end of my career that I try to tell young soldiers, young NCOs, like when we came up, teamwork make the dream work. Let's talk
Yeah.
about correspondent course. Back we came in, it wasn't online like this. We had to pop a disc.
Yeah.
So what would Little do after Little got done with that 400-hour disc? They
Yeah.
said, Net, you might want to
Don't
jump on
pass it
this.
on. Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
want to jump on this. Why should I hold information or hold you back when you eventually gonna get the same information I get? So if
Mhm.
you wanna, if it's nothing wrong with healthy competition, but
Mhm.
you can't be intimidated by somebody's success because there's enough room in this whole world for everything. Now
Oh
giving
yeah.
up, that's not an
Yeah.
option. And like I say, that goes back to how my daddy raised me. My daddy always told me, if you start something,
Yeah.
you're gonna finish it. Now, let's clarify that because you got to end some stuff when you start. Everything can't last forever in
Oh
aspects of
yeah.
life. But if you start something, you need to finish it. And another thing is he told me don't do nothing half-ass. Like
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
100%. My daddy work ethic is bar none the best. I think that's why I get my work ethic. My daddy
Mhm.
work ethic is to the T. And I think, you know, when I didn't want to have the positive attitude or I didn't want
Mhm.
to, you know, do stuff the right way, I think that work ethic kicked in to help me get over the hump, man.
Oh yeah. So that's the big thing. I know you speak on your pops. Of course, my pops uh um instilled a lot of work ethic in me as well. Rest in peace.
Hmm.
My best friend. I'm pretty sure just like your pops as a man,
Oh yeah.
your best friend.
Oh yeah.
But those are things that are instilled that are there that we just sometimes forget about what's actually instilled in us. But um, some common thoughts is again on the fixed mindset is I'm not good at this. If I fail, it means I'm not smart or talented, which I had to realize with the mindset, when I was, you remember at Fort Hood, I was a pretty overweight guy,
Hmm.
so what had to change in my mindset is that I know the first time I have to do this run, I'm going to suck at it. Or the first time I do these push-ups, I'm going to suck at it. Or even something in the military, going to a school, I'm going to be like, you know what? I used to be like, man, I ain't good at none of this stuff. But if I stay focused on, and not give up, eventually with consistency and persistence, you're gonna learn, what you have to learn, or you're gonna get better at what you're trying to get better at. So I would say, all in all, a fixed mindset is probably not a good thing to have. Oh, but here's something we heard a lot. I can't change it. This is just the way I am. How many times have
Nah.
you heard that in the military? Or this is always how it used to be. This is how we've always done it. And to me, I hated that statement because it's like, let's say something simple as we got to work on the Connex, right? We got our equipment and we throw it in there, and somebody comes up and say, "Hey man, why y'all threw it? Just threw it in there. It's out of whack." Hey man, it's how we always done it. Like, just because you've done it like that and it's wrong doesn't mean you keep going with it. You know
Eh,
what I'm saying?
Yeah, you absolutely right. It's funny you say that, man, because I had a division sergeant major, command sergeant major, Moonday. He's now in the command sergeant major of USARET right now, recruiter. When he
Mm-hmm.
was the first Cav division sergeant major, sometimes I would have to fill in for my battalion sergeant major, so I go to like little powwows and meetings, and
Mm-hmm.
he hated that. Like that irritated him. I'm gonna tell you why. So you're talking about different aspects how to grow as a leader, and we all been guilty of it. So why y'all still do certain stuff? Wait, that's how we always done it. So one
Mm-hmm.
one example he brought up, he was like, "There's so many issues in the barracks." He
Yeah.
was like, "Have you ever think to let your soldiers pick their roommates? All these
Yeah.
sergeant majors get riled up. No, 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 no." He was like, "Why not?" Let me guess, because that's not how you always used to do it. And he gave the example on when he was a brigade sergeant major, battalion and brigade sergeant major, he let his soldiers pick their roommates, and the issues in the barracks significantly dropped. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to pick somebody you can relate to, you're going to pick somebody you can have fun with, and you're going to pick somebody who's probably going to keep you out of trouble and not get in the most trouble. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going
Yeah.
to have a good roommate. And so from that aspect, you're absolutely right. Like you have to stop thinking, and that's not even a military thing. That's just in
Yeah.
life as you grow. It's like, okay, the way our parents raised us, in certain aspects, we can't raise our kids like that today because it's not the same world. You get what I'm saying? From
Yeah.
discipline to how you talk about things, is you just have to because you're going to be, if you keep that fixed mindset of, okay, this is how things are and this how
Yes.
it should go, you're going to stay stunted and you're never going to grow, and then you're going to be blaming everybody else but yourself for your issue, because
Yep.
you don't want to take the time to think differently, so.
So here's my also as well, because sometimes you can think of as having a fixed mindset. You can think of your efforts as being fruitless or unnecessary. Like even on a civilian job, I know when I went to a civilian job when I first went out the military, it was like, oh, we always do like this, or man, these students, they're gonna always be like that. But my thought process was like, you know what? Why don't we try to change certain things and see how they work and see how it works for the long run? But if we continue being like this, and these students or these coworkers are like this, and we don't change nothing, then it's always going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
what do you think as far as like, so say somebody, somebody out might be listening to this, headed to work, and they hate their job, or and they stay in this, well, it's always going to be like this. What would you give like some mentorship to somebody like a civilian who's like, you know what, I hate this job, it's the same old thing every day, I can't do nothing to change this? What would you say from your aspect to help them get into a better mind frame?
Okay, the first thing you do with your mindset is stop saying you can't do something. That's the first
Mhm.
thing, right? You can do anything you want to. It's all about applying and putting everything in perspective and executing. The
Mhm.
second the second thing you need to do is, if you it's only a couple reasons why you would hate a job.
Mhm.
Your leadership,
Mhm.
you're bored, meaning your job doesn't challenge you mentally,
Yeah.
or you just don't get along, or like the people you around. It might be a hostile environment or whatever. Because you have introverts that go to work, they don't like being around people. They do their work and they go home, which is fine. But
Mhm.
the first thing you need to do is work on your mindset, because if you don't change your mindset of I hate this job or I can't do nothing, you're gonna have that same mindset when you go approaching to better yourself. So if you hate that job, um go look for another job. The problem is most people who say that don't have the qualifications to go look for another job. They haven't
Yeah.
bettered themselves to get out of that situation. You know,
Yeah.
um, you
It
have
makes
to go ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense, because that's the same, just like the common thoughts say, I'm not good at this. If I fail, it means I'm not smart or talented, or I can't change this just the way I am. And that's the biggest one. I can't change just the way I am. And now you're wondering why you stuck in that rut of where you at now. Now, I can speak firsthand on a lot of my battle buddies, you included. A lot of us, of course, a lot of our battle buddies are about to retire or on the
Hmm.
edge of retiring and sergeant majors. But once I adapted the growth mindset, and we're gonna speak on this, and for everybody out there listening, I'm gonna give you the definition, and we're gonna speak on some characteristics. The growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through hard work, dedication, and learning. Emphasizes the idea that effort and perseverance lead to improvement. So some of the characteristics are embracing challenges as the opportunities grow, finds inspiration in success of others, persists through setbacks and obstacles, sees effort as the key to mastery, welcomes constructive criticism, and learns from feedback. I'm not good at this, but I can learn. Failure is an opportunity to improve, and I can grow and change with effort and persistence. And one last thing is, what I tell people on the previous podcast is that a lot of times well, not a lot of times, we do something called AARs. I don't know if they still call that since I've been out a year, but I tell them, if we have a training exercises or a class, we always have, sustains improvements, and we get constructive criticism and feedback on how the class went or whatever training exercise, and we can improve on that. And I think that's the biggest part of the military that I learned and I implemented when it came to, me sparring in karate or me doing anything in life. If I just sat back and look, okay, this is what I can improve on, this is what I was good at, but now I'm gonna work on my faults or my improvements, and then that's how you get better. You got anything to add on that growth mindset?
Oh yeah, you have to want the hunger to always grow in life in general as a person. Every day you want to get better. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, if you having that mindset is great, because you don't want to. stunt your potential or what you have to offer to the world, to yourself, to your family. Don't shortchange yourself. And you're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. So just being able to, say, instead of saying I can't do this, just try it. So at the first thing is, and it's a cliche we heard in the military a lot, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You get what I'm
you
saying?
do.
And
You
so
do.
it's going to be situations and things that going to push your limits physically, mentally, just to see if you can, how much you can handle. It goes back to when we was young sergeants, man. The old rule, oh, he a sergeant, I'll throw the book at him.
Mm-hmm.
They did that to see how much you can handle, and they had
Yeah.
to do that because of the environment we were in at that time. We was at war, so they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make sure, that we can be able to handle certain stuff and certain aspects as far as our job and leadership. But just translating that to life, man, just you got to wake up every day wanting to get better. You can't shy away from challenges. And the good thing about it is I in the military, 9 times out of 10, when you face a challenge, you probably can go to somebody who faces that challenge as a leader
Oh yeah.
somewhere at some point.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
and same thing in life, man. Like you probably, have friends or somebody you can lean on to say, "Hey, I need some advice about this." Nobody makes it where they do alone. I don't care what you say. You need advice. You need a hug. You need somebody to like tell you, like, "Hey, you need to man up, woman up, and do this," or somebody be like, "Hey, you might want to just, take a break and come back," but you don't give
Mm-hmm.
up. But your mindset, like saying you can do something, it starts with saying that I can do this, or I don't want to do this. It's just shifting and changing it, bro, and just making sure like help you get through what you need to get through, man.
Oh yeah. So I definitely spoke about this. I speak about this all the time. Um, you can have the growth mindset, but we cannot forget that it has to come with action as well. You know what I'm saying? It
Oh
has to
yeah.
come with action. You're not getting past that. So I noticed, and I'm gonna speak on this. So every time I saw you, right? So I have battle buddies. I know you remember Ricarte, um,
Mm-hmm.
you as well, and then I have a couple other battle buddies that um I would look to you guys to see what y'all doing from time to time. It's like, you know what? Okay, they on their A game. Let me go this way. And I wasn't too proud to be like, you know what? I'll reach out and say, hey, what's going on with this? I have another one, battle buddy, Master Son Robertson, right now. Um, I reach out to y'all from time to time, even after inside the military. Hey, get some, motivation and see where y'all going, because it's good to surround yourself with positive people. You know what I'm saying? Because that only elevates you. And like you say, friendly competition. Friendly competition. I used to tell Summer Cartel all the time, right? Every time I went to school or did something, for some reason, he would get enrolled in that same class.
That's Socrates.
And
Yep.
and I would say, man, why you always follow me? And he would be like, man, you ain't finna leave me behind. But I took that as, hey, friendly competition. You know what I'm saying? And so I challenge all the new soldiers. If you're brand new and you're hearing this and you just getting in, we talking about Sean Little did plus 20, I did plus 20. Constantly try to evolve. It's gonna
Yes.
be rough times in the military where you're gonna have to pick the weeds. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to cut the grass when you're a private E1. Even as staff sergeant E5s, we were cutting grass and picking weeds at Fort Hood. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But just always having that growth mindset, like when you get out of class, hey, I'm gonna get better at PT, or I'm gonna go take this college course to become a E5, a sergeant E5 in a certain amount of time frame. So I'm gonna let the people know about my battle buddy Little real quick, and I'm not gonna always big you up. I got to give you your flowers.
Appreciate
Every
it, bro.
time I seen you, man, you were doing something different to um not saying jack of all trades different. What I mean by different is you were always doing something to better your career. Is what I mean. You were always in school, or you was always at S1 updating your records. You was always taking a position of higher, not authority, but higher
Responsibility.
responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes me and my stubborn ways, I'm like, man, he always trying to, be out front and this and that. But now that I'm older and when I became a senior leader, I was like, it was all for a purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not to be stagnant, because for years, I'm not afraid to say I was stagnant. I just go to work and come home, didn't
Oh,
do
I
nothing
was
else.
too. I was too.
You know what I'm saying?
I was too.
So I challenge all the young soldiers. You might have those ruts where, man, I don't want to do nothing, but kick yourself in the butt at least go take a college class, take that higher responsibility because it's going to get you where you need to in the military and in life. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, common thoughts. How we can shift our how we can shift from fixed to growth is recognize fixed thoughts. Identify moments when you think limiting terms like I can't. So, have you ever had any times in life? I know you have with 20 plus years. Can you name something that at a time you like, man, I can't do this. This is crazy, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that's been many instances. But the one that come to mind is it was two different instances. It was both at uh Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Mm,
Anybody who ever been stationed at Leonard Wood, Missouri knows that those elements and that weather don't give a damn about nobody, man.
not one person, bro.
So I used to think, I spent majority of my military career in Texas between El Paso and Fort Hood. But when I got to Fort Leonard Wood, man, that was a different type of cold, man. Being on that platform with those soldiers, it was one of the most fulfilling jobs. But that first winter, I kept telling myself every day, I can't do this. It was just too
Yeah,
cold, brother. It was just the elements. But after a while, I had to change because it's like, hey, you saying this every damn day, but guess what? You out here, you
every
know,
day.
training soldiers in this negative degree weather, and it just changed my mindset. And then, you know, just okay, let me focus my mind and stop worrying about how cold it is, and maybe shift it towards giving these soldiers some military game, how things operate, as long as with teaching them. And then that takes you from outside of the pad in the cold to the classroom, and then you start the real mentorship and stuff like that. The second part is when I became a first sergeant at Fort Leonard Wood,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to do it because I couldn't. It was just so many against me, if that makes
Mm,
sense. It
yeah,
was just so many against me who, felt like, okay, I didn't deserve it, I didn't earn it, whatever the case may be. Right. So then I had to, at first, I'm not gonna lie, at first it was getting to me. I wasn't resilient. I wasn't, you
mm,
know, I was letting, what they say, but then, you got mentors that'd be
yeah,
like, hey man, you are where you are. You know what you did, like, hey, let it go. Like, don't care what they say and do what you gotta do. And
yeah,
so I had a great battle buddy too, my commander, who helped me get through this and helped me shape my mindset. And it goes back to it, man. I just went in the mindset is I'm a win the people over I can win over. And then if
yeah,
people don't follow suit, they don't follow suit. And
yeah,
then once you, as a true leader, once people get behind you and see the real you after all the talking and everything go by, then people start to see who the real you is, and then they get behind you. The other people just fall off, man. And then so, but
that's
my wife helped me through that,
yeah.
helped me get that back up, get my I ain't gonna say get my confidence back up, but my wife helped me get through that. Like, hey, you deserve this, you earned this. Like, who cares what nobody say? It was one
Even
of them. Go ahead.
I was gonna speak on that. I always wondered why people in general act like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you worked to get to where you at and somebody's seen it and it was like, you know what, I like such and such qualities, we're gonna put them in this leadership position. Why do I never understood that? Why do other people like, hey man, some they be like, hey man, good job. Hey, they'll follow suit, because they know your characteristics and you're a good leader. Then other ones are spiteful, but they don't sit here and realize, like, you know what? Maybe I'm not meant for this position yet. I haven't worked to where I need to be to get that first time position over Sergeant Little. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The,
I agree with you. So I can tell you, and I'm gonna go back to this. It goes back to how my dad raised me. Like, I don't for me, I don't hate on nobody. I don't try to mess nobody over, because karma is real, right? So
mm-hmm.
one thing I was raised up, just not my dad. It's a lot of my family, because if anybody ever seen, anytime I got promoted, I got recognized, one thing I always talked about was a village, and I was raised by a village, right?
Yeah.
So one thing my daddy always taught me is, if you looking on somebody else's plate, somebody's stealing off your plate,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I ain't got the time to be. I'm not gonna hate on nobody. I'm be honest with you. I ain't gonna hate on nobody. If I like something you did, and if anybody who watches this video and know this and can attest to this, you can come forward. But if I like something you did, I would text you, inbox you, hey bro, how you do that? How you get there? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
That's
I
how you
I I,
grow, man.
I
That's
want
how
to
you
know too. Now, if I don't execute like they did and pass that class or get in that school or whatever, okay. But I'm gonna ask you. I'm not gonna sit in here and hate on you. Like you see, no, I'm gonna ask you how you did it, and
yeah,
then I'm a go and try and see if I can do the same thing. But I never understood. And sometimes it's competition. I can't knock the
yeah.
competition in people. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's a lot of people out
The-
here who
It's the,
are
it's the
who
difference
who
between
feel
competition.
who
It's
feel
the difference
entitled.
between yeah, but
Yes.
it's the difference between competition and just straight up hating. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it
saying?
is, it is, and it's a lot of people in the military who
Yeah,
feel like they should be in a position just because, or because I'm this rank. That's why I love when the Army went to the merit-based promotion versus,
yeah,
oh, I've been in the Army 15 years. I should no. I'm
yeah.
glad it went to the merit-based promotion because just because little been in the Army 15 years,
Don't mean
it don't
yeah.
mean I know more than the person who's been in 10 years. If that person who's been in 10 years is doing everything the Army asked him to do and been in the same position I've been in,
Hmm.
who's a knock and say, okay, that person ain't ready to be a sergeant first class because they only been in 10 years. And I'm
Yeah,
glad the Army did that because it made it more competitive. It brought the
yeah,
true colors out of a lot of people,
yep.
and it weeded the people it needed to weed it out. But I'm glad it went to it. But I will never in my life like knock somebody for what they doing. If it interests me, I'm gonna ask you. If not, I'm gonna clap for you and then I'm gonna keep on moving. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I get you. So also it's we seeing setbacks as learning experiences rather than proof of inadequacy, using constructive criticism as a tool for growth, not as a judgment. And I think that's when that's why I think if you have a good support system and good, I say battle buddies, but friends that can actually help you and not judge you, like, hey, bro, you know, you did this good, and um, maybe you can fix this. But also in our mind, we got to be like, okay, take that with a grain of salt. If I'm not good at push-ups or I'm not good at, math and I'm screwing up, and then little comes over like, hey, bro, hey, just fix this and you'll be straight. Don't get the attitude and be like, man, just hey, appreciate it, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times as human, I can sit here and say, hey, it's easier said than done. But at the same time, that's just how you shift. And if you start to see in life, you start to shift from fixed to growth, a lot of things will open up for you in life. You know what I'm
Oh yeah,
saying?
absolutely. You have to surround yourself with people that's going to blunt tell you the truth. And that's one thing I can say about the leaders I had in the Army. I've never, I'm not gonna lie, and I know they say I've never had a leader sugarcoat nothing with me. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's just what it was, but if little was ate up, hey bro, you ate up. If you were good, you were good. Hey, work on this, and you gotta, and when you young, and you like, okay, this joker hating, but then you think
yeah,
about it now, like,
yeah,
okay, I'm an E5. This person the whole song first class. Why is this person hating on me? They trying, you
exactly.
know what I'm saying? Like, surround yourself with people who wants what's best for you and it's
Yeah,
gonna tell you the truth. I've never wanted somebody around me that'd be like, hey, look, don't worry about what they said, man. You good. Knowing in
yeah.
the back of my head, I ain't good because I could have ran a little bit hard on that PT
Exactly.
test and I would have got the score I got or whatever.
So I'm gonna tell you when I first heard, and kudos to a Sergeant Command Sergeant Major Merrill. He's one of the realest leaders I've had in the military. I've had a bunch,
Absolutely.
but um, when I first heard him tell another staff sergeant, of course, we're not gonna mention that staff sergeant's name, but it was you know who I'm talking about, and I'm not gonna even mention the unit, but um, the NCOER time frame was around that NCO need is NCOER. For those who don't know, that's just an evaluation report that we, NCOs, sergeants get in the Army, quarterly, yearly, stuff like that. Um, but the sergeant told, and then he was a sergeant first class, Merrill, man, why you give me, I think it was some threes on there, right? Threes is bad for people who don't understand. All right.
Well, the
So
army
I
say you
think
can
he
get promoted now. The army say you can
yeah,
get promoted.
so he gave him at the time frame. I know it's changed now, but at the time it was this was what 2013.
Yeah, yeah.
So he gave him some twos and a three. So that sergeant was like, "Hey man, hey sergeant, why you gave me this rating, man?" And then I had, and then that sergeant major, I mean, first some, I mean, not first, some first class Merrill at the time says, I only gave you what you did. I gave you what you worked on or how you were. And that's what made me think, like, man, having a good leader like that and not sugarcoating and saying, hey, I'm giving you what you work for. I mean, I didn't make this up. You did it. You know what I'm saying? And so that from that day on, it kind of stuck with me, like, man, when I got my NCOER, he only wrote what I did. You know what I'm saying? So if I was mediocre, that's what it displayed on that rating or that evaluation. And so that's when people have to look at, having people around you who don't lie to you and don't sugarcoat you, and know that they have your best interest in mind. And like,
Absolutely.
hey, bro, hey, you screwing up, man. This ain't. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
you need to fix this. Don't
Mm-hmm.
take it hard. Just be like, hey, this is positive reinforcement and
Mm-hmm.
positive, to work on and be better. But
Mm-hmm.
our mindset sometimes is like, man, he hating on me, man. You know how we are, man, they just hating. No, actually, they probably not just hating. They probably being honest with you. Like, I get in these debates a lot, in America, and we ain't gonna harp on this too much, but when people are overweight, instead of being nice to them and telling them, hey, man, you gained some pounds, this might affect your health. Oh man, you good, man. A couple extra pounds won't hurt, but you actually probably lying to them because that
Mm-hmm.
can actually affect their health.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
this thing about, oh man, you don't need to go to college to get a good job. Why are you telling people they don't need to go learn and get a better education and become a better product of, I wouldn't say society, but
For
being better in
themselves,
life,
for their
but
family.
themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and we talked about surrounding yourself with positivity. If you How relationships, media consumption, and environment influence your mindset. That does. Social media is crazy right now with
Whoo.
mindset. You know what I'm
Ain't
saying?
it?
So, would you like to speak on that? You know what I'm saying? With
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
old school, so we didn't have social media when we first joined the army. But
Nah.
look at it now, how it affects the mindset of people. You know what I mean?
So yeah, it's funny you say that because when I'm a communications major. I had to do an in-depth report, PowerPoint and a paper on this. And I had to go real in-depth on how the media can shape and mold your thoughts and perceptions, man. First of all,
Hmm.
social media ain't real, man.
Yeah.
You take from it what you want to take from it, but social media ain't real, man. It's not real in every aspect, right? Because it's everything starts with a perception.
Yeah.
I would tell people that social media today is not used in the right context because when we were young soldiers we didn't have social media. We didn't have, if we saw something in the real, we saw it in real time. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Not saying
Yeah.
social media is a negative thing, but social media is starting to be the thief of everyone's joy. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
because
True.
because people only post
What they want you to see.
what they want you to see. And so it's like, okay, people, oh man, he made this rank, or she did this, and you might be in a period where you stagnant or trying to reach your goal, and you see somebody reach the same goal you reach, and don't get mad about it. Just
Start working on it, man.
push hard, and then when you get there, you post your accomplishment. But social media is it's a gift and a curse, but I think people look too much into social media, and it's not what it really is. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I would think sometimes that's why I tell people, put your phone down sometime, especially in the
Oh yeah.
morning. Put your phone down and get after it. You know what I'm saying? And then we talked about, positive affirmation and gratitude. Just having gratitude throughout the day. Like I tell people, I pray, I believe in God. So um, that's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I pray. But let me speak on this, man. You posted something the other day about, I think one of your previous leaders were thanking you, right, for the job you did and how you impacted their career. And I'm gonna tell you, as a sergeant, as a senior leader, or just a sergeant, or leader in general, when you go and if somebody comes back to you that you and say, "Hey, man, you impacted my life, you changed my life." That's no better feeling than that. I'm gonna be honest with you, as a leader, and um, but that comes with having the growth mindset. You know what I'm saying? Not that fixed negative mindset. So how do you feel when people come back to you and say, hey, first, my son Little, man, I remember this, and it might be the 10 years ago. that you affected. But how do you feel when people come back to you, um, and speak on that?
I mean, it makes you feel good, man. I'm gonna lie, man. Like especially it just affirm, that you left a lasting impression on somebody, man. Like so, I'm not gonna toot my horn, but I get
Yeah.
messages like that from people I mentored, a lot throughout the military. When something happened, they send me a text, thank you or something like that. But this particular leader, um, it meant a lot because um I started I started working with this leader as soon as I got promoted to master sergeant. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to go and I'm not going to go too in depth, but it's going to go back to what you say about affirmation and all this stuff. So I'm a backtrack. When I became a first sergeant at Fort Lindenwood, I had only been a sergeant first class maybe like 8 or 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the root of a lot of people backlashes of, okay, this person only been a song first clean leader for a few months. How they get this position, blase, blase. So
Mm-hmm.
that takes me to my old battalion commander. I'm not gonna say her name, but my old battalion commander. Um, when I became master sergeant, I was a SPO NCOIC, SPO
Mm-hmm.
trans, my job, right? But every time sergeant major would leave, he would put me in charge. Right?
Mm-hmm.
First time cool, second time cool, third time like okay. Could it be like 2 or 3 days a week at a time?
Mm-hmm.
So he has to go to I guess his new sergeant major assessment program they were having, some type of assessment they were having in the army, to come up with new stuff. But he
Yeah.
was gonna be gone for 2 weeks. And he had already mentioned this. So I'm trying to already like not, sergeant major pick one of your first sergeants because I'm not a
Yeah.
first sergeant yet. You got full first sergeant. I'm just a SPO trans. I got the missions. But he picked me anyway. And it was tumultuous 2 weeks, man. I'm gonna tell you, like it
Yeah.
was whoo boy. It was sitting there for battalion sergeant major.
Oh
It
yeah.
was never a dull moment, and it was never ended.
Yeah.
But I never really asked him why he always chose me because he picked me like 2 more times. But that message that she sent me yesterday, it
Mm-hmm.
confirmed it. Like I
Yeah.
guess I was the one that she trusted and
Yeah.
and got stuff done. And that meant a lot, especially as a young master who's dealing with a battalion commander or advising a battalion commander for the time sitting in that seat. Just along with just my job and NTC and missions and a bunch of stuff I did, it meant a lot, man. It
Yeah.
meant a lot. It meant a
So
lot.
for the people who don't understand or might not be in the army or never dealt with the army, if you're a sergeant major or you sitting in for a sergeant major, a normal sergeant major, on the battalion level, you could be in charge of anywhere from 500 to 700 people. Brigade, you're looking at thousands of troops and soldiers. So you're the senior enlisted, in charge of a lot of other enlisted soldiers. So that job and entails in general, even if you're sitting in that seat for 2 weeks, can be pretty rough. So before we move on to the next step, is how did you what is something that made you lock in to say, you know what, I'm gonna be here for 2 weeks. I got picked. I got to do what I got to do.
Oh, I couldn't change. I couldn't change being there. Like I had to
Yeah,
be there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And so, I just had to, change my mindset. It's not like I didn't want to be there. I was just more of like, okay, now I'm, putting out notes and advising these first sergeants who got
yeah,
like 2, 3, 4 years over me. I only
yeah.
been promoted a few months, but
Mm-hmm,
my battalion commander trusted me, like how I
mm-hmm.
operated, and she every time Sergeant Major left, Sergeant Major picked me. But I guess it's just the work ethic, man. I locked in because I just wanted to be there. I couldn't, not do the job, and
If
it
you're
was
gonna be there, you might as well do
yeah,
the best you can. You know what I'm
do the
saying?
job. I'm not gonna leave her out to hang. You know what I'm saying? Because you know
Yeah,
how the army is. Like when you in charge of something, you in charge. Ain't no act. And that's another thing. I hate when people like acting. It ain't no acting, man. If you get put in
yeah.
a
You're in
leadership
charge.
position for 2 days, 3 days, 4 weeks, you are what it is until you get changed out. I hated that word acting,
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, I didn't like that either, man, because you ain't acting, you're in that position. So if something bad happens or good happens on your watch, you're responsible for it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
you ain't acting when you get a phone call from the brigade sergeant major or division sergeant major. You ain't
some
acting in, huh?
yeah, exactly. So the last few last things we're gonna talk about, and we're not gonna beat it too deep into your skull, but here's a step-by-step process. Number one is awareness. Identify and
Hmm.
acknowledge negative thought patterns and emotional triggers. If you identify that, you can definitely be successful in moving forward. So number two is reframe. Replace negative belief with positive, actionable statements. All right, like we said before that if you have all these positive thought processes, but you don't have no action, then like the Bible said, faith without work is dead.
Hmm.
So practice consistently apply positivity through journaling, meditation, and affirmation. That's a big thing I do is I journal, I meditate, and then I do talk about, I do say affirmations because I notice, the power of the tongue. If you constantly saying negative things, you're gonna be surrounded by,
Hmm.
I know this is cliche and everybody probably say it, but
The
you can't
universe.
you can't expect to, soar with eagles if you hang around with chickens being negative like chickens. All right.
Hmm.
And so reflect, regularly elevate progress, regularly evaluate process and adjust strategies as needed. So if we can say, to recap anything, there's some real life applications. You have any stories about real quick stories about mindset reset? What was the biggest thing in your career that you had the mindset reset and refocus? Like, was there a time where you like, okay, might have been from being a private to a sergeant, where or anywhere outside or inside the military, you like, hey man, I got to buckle down and reframe my mindset real quick.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna go down the wrong path.
Oh yeah. Um, Complacency.
Yeah.
That was my killer. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't notice. I was an E5 for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because of complacency.
I wouldn't have
Um,
thought that though, because when
oh,
I
I
met
was.
you, yeah,
I
okay.
was, I was, I was. I'm not gonna lie. I made it quick too. Now I made it.
Yeah.
I made sergeant like 2.5 years after I came in the army. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
but I had leaders who held me to the standard. Like, no, you're not ready to go to the board, little. You're not ready to go because of this, and this. But yeah, just hang around people that was didn't want to didn't want to do corresponding courses, didn't want to go to
Mm,
school, knowing I came from a leader and leaders at prior to station know that was a standard. You always keep it moving. You always keep yourself occupied with something that's going to help you grow. And you get consistent around people, and then once you start seeing everybody elevate above you, and it's like, okay, yeah, you
mm,
promotable, but I don't like the leader you are, so I'm gonna go get promoted, so you don't have to be my leader, you
yeah.
know. But refocusing and refocusing and getting my mind right. This is a story I never told nobody. Exclusive story. I
Mm,
never told nobody this. When I first came in army, I couldn't do push-ups, bro. I'm tall,
mm-hmm.
slinky,
Yeah.
couldn't do
Yeah.
push-ups. So my drill sergeant was like, "Hey, do 10 a night. Then when you go to 10, try 15." That's doing basic training. So I went and did all that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
get to my first duty station, I'm maxing PT test. So here come PODC. Back in the old days, wasn't going
Yeah.
home, no phone, 30
Yeah.
days in the building. Bro, I messed around. To this day, I think the instructor counted wrong, but I failed my first PT test.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me failing my first PT test that bothered me, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I had to call my sponsor, who was the brigade sergeant. I was a driver.
Ooh. Oh
I
yeah.
had I had to tell this dude I failed the PT test. That was the most. That's one of the hardest things I had to do. I wasn't mad at myself. I was scared. I wasn't. And all he told me was regroup and
Yeah.
knock it out, and I
Yeah.
did. And that's I needed that. Because I was afraid. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be afraid going into the next PT test because if I fail again, then I'm out of school. Now I'm really,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying. So I knew the type of person he was. I just knew he was gonna tear me up, but he didn't. And he
But
never he never tore me up either.
But to give you some credit, we all know that when you go to a school in the military, you got to be able to do extra push-ups because
Yeah.
the push-ups you
Yeah.
do don't count. So you got to at least
Yeah.
be able to do an extra 10
Yeah.
because if you barely passing, you not the PT test you're not gonna pass at school. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, but that proves and lets people know that you had to lock in. Like, oh, sometimes like you said, we face adversity But we need that adversity or that time where it slaps us in the face to be like, you know what, man, I need to lock
Yeah,
back in, man. I'm tripping.
absolutely,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
and that's a good story to let people know, hey, if you on the verge or if you just failed something, that tells you right there that it's not over. You know, as long as the Lord lets you live another day, it's not over. All you
hmm,
got to do is lock back in. And yes, it's gonna be hard. You know, ain't nothing out here that's worth anything is gonna be easy. You know what I'm saying?
that's true.
So, um, what I want to say is, you know, we gonna recap. You know, the importance of you know, gratitude, reframing challenges, and practicing resilience. That's the biggest thing you can that's gonna help you get over, you know, get to a positive and more successful part in life is resilience. You know, how you bounce back. I want to encourage the listeners this week. When you hear this, I want to encourage all the listeners to try one mindset reset activity this week. Example: start a gratitude journal, practice mindfulness, or reframe challenging situations. We always want to thank our listeners for tuning in. Uh, and then we want to invite you to connect on our Facebook page, which is TPM All Gas No Breaks. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone, or share with us in the comment section. Um,
Mhm.
your mindset reset and what helps you actually get through challenges. And that's the biggest thing is we're gonna sign off with all gas, no breaks. You got anything left, big dog?
Nah, everybody just tap in. You know, these podcasts are very, very influential, very a lot of information. You know, take from it what you can, but we just giving you the experience of what we went through. We're just gonna keep bringing the heat. And if you like it, go subscribe to the page, like the Facebook comment, and let's get this thing started.
And if you made it all the way through this podcast, uh, I want you to put down below in the comment section who you think is going to win the national championship this year for in college football. Me, I'm taking University of Texas Longhorns. Who you got, big dog? Who you got?
Uh I'm not gonna say who you say. I live in Texas, and you know I have friends who think I hate Texas, but I just like trolling Texas, man. But honestly, um, I got Texas, and then the back, and I hate to say this, the backup team. That's either that when they get in there, it's either gonna be Georgia, or Alabama, man. But it's come out SEC, so it's all good, man.
Yeah, so it's all good. Other than that, see you guys next week. All gas, no breaks.